Royale started out with just 48 cards, but today in 2025, the game has 121 cards and counting. So with all of these options, the community definitely has some favorite picks. But on the flip side, there are 100% some cards that are way too overpowered and make everyone rage. So today, I'm going to be talking about the most loved and hated cards in the history of Clash Royale, starting with one of the most loved cards in the game, Mini P.E.K.K.A. Mini P.E.K.K.A. was one of the first cards ever released by Supercell on the actual release date of Clash Royale. Since the game came out, this card has remained a staple in a ton of people's decks, especially when you're just starting out. Because Mini P.E.K.K.A. only costs 4 elixir, but also causes some crazy damage, it can easily take down a lot of tanky cards in a 1v1 situation. And you can use it to counter what's perhaps the most and you can use it to counter what's perhaps the most broken card in the game, and also our first hated card in this video, Mega Knight. Mega Knight was added to the game back in September of 2017, and this might be genuinely the most hated card in the game, literally ever.
I'm genuinely losing my mind!
Delete Mega Knight from the game.
Please, Supercell, please!
If you go into the subreddit, you can see endless posts about how broken this card is, and you can definitely see a lot of players raging to it on stream.
He has a Mega Knight, I think.
Mega Knight! Mega Knight! Mega Knight!
Because he has Mega Knight, he wins.
I've literally never heard anyone say anything good about this card. Well, unless they're using it in their own deck.
This is so crazy. How is this a thing? How is this okayed?
Although this card costs 7 elixir, it has unbelievably high HP, and unlike other high HP cards like the P.E.K.K.A., Mega Knight also does splash damage. So if you try and take it out with a Skarmy or another high hits per second card, you're going to get absolutely squashed. And considering all of the complaints about this card, Supercell decided to nerf it. Just kidding, no they didn't. Instead of nerfing the card or changing its stats and attack patterns, Supercell decided to give it an Evo card.
Mega Evos, and he is looking mean! Evo Uppercut!
Yeah, and this evolution is probably the most broken card in the entire game. And the worst part is, because it's so hard to take him down, you either have to use your entire deck against him, or you have to join the evil side and put him in your deck yourself. I guess you either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. And I certainly am the villain. But back on a positive note, one of the most loved cards in the game is up next. We've got to talk about Valkyrie, yet another card on this list that was also added right when the game was released. And although in 2025, 3% of people are using Valkyrie, and that doesn't seem like a lot, back in the beginning of the game, even less people were using this card, and that's when there was only 48 cards in the deck. Over time, Supercell has buffed Valkyrie, and in my opinion, has made her one of the most consistent usable cards in the game. And although she isn't used on the pro level as much, she is loved for being one of the most accessible early on good cards that you can get at the beginning of the game. At a cost of 4 elixir, this provides pretty good splash damage, and in early arenas, people are always spamming Skarmies, and this is a great counter to that card. Plus, with a pretty high amount of HP, she can withstand a lot of damage and be useful for baiting cards into the center, similar to how you would do with a knight. And although she is as slow as molasses, this is definitely still one of the most loved cards in the game, and she even got her own evolution added in January of 2024, which is one of the best evolutions in the game. Obviously, Evo cards are all going to be strong, but considering that this isn't one of the strongest cards in the game, I think it gets a really big bonus in usage percentage just based on how good the Evo is. And even if you guys don't agree with my take on the Evo Valkyrie, you're definitely gonna agree with my take on the next hated card in this video, and it's the Elixir Golem.
I can't put down a cup.
Added in November of 2019, it's just annoying. Watch the clip.
Good luck, man. Oh, he dapped me up. Bro, I thought this guy was my friend and he busted out Elixir Golden Healer first play. No!
Although this card is only 3 elixir, it has a ton of HP and does more damage than many of the cards in the entire game. It waddles right up to your tower looking like Dave Blunt's and ruins your day in the process. And similarly to the 8 elixir Golem, if you manage to take this guy down, he just splits into 2 smaller annoying guys. And if that situation isn't annoying enough, both of those guys will break and then split into 4 smaller guys. So when this card is combined with something like a battle healer, it's pretty much a nightmare to deal with. I generally use my Evo Skarmia to take this out, but if somebody has a log or a zap, this is going to be a rough one to deal with. And when this card is paired up with battle healer and also Electro Dragon.
What if there's another way to fail? Paradigm, the new refillable fragrance by Prada.
Look, it's Heyday!
And when this card is paired up with Battle Healer and also Electro Dragon or even Goblin Machine, it makes things even worse, and you pretty much have to defend this perfectly because any mistake will end in disaster. For those of you going through some of the higher levels in the trophy arena, you know that this deck is no skill needed and spammed like crazy. And speaking of spammed like crazy, our next most loved card in the game is used in 20% of decks, making it the 5th most used card in all of Clash right now. And it is the Skeletons. Yet again, this card was from the game's launch in 2016. It seems like there's a pattern of the most loved cards being the original game cards that were the most balanced ones that they thought out the most, but we'll talk about that more later. Being that it's the cheapest card in the game at only 1 elixir and spawns 3 skeletons, it definitely has a ton of use cases.
Overwhelm him with all the skeletons. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna Skelly King. Look at these Evo Skellies.
Like I said, there's so many different ways to use the card because of how simple and cheap it is. You can distract tanks and keep your opponents away from your towers and misdirect some of the bigger tanky cards. But you could also use it for straight up DPS in situations where cards are locked onto your tower and you need to get in some quick small damage. Although this is one of the most loved cards, it is also a very high skill card even though it's very simple to use. The card's usefulness genuinely comes down to your own game sense and coming up with creative strategies on how to use them effectively. Because like I said, on top of this being only 1 elixir and being easy to cycle through, it genuinely does have some interesting uses. And being at such a low elixir cost while also having an evolution card that's actually not too bad is definitely another reason why everybody is using Skeletons.
And now I'm gonna go with this. All right, this could be big. Okay, he's playing a lot of elixir right now. I'm gonna play a prediction log. Come on, boys, come on, just take it. So close, just take it, take it.
The next card we're going to talk about is very high usage, but also highly hated. And of course, I'm talking about the Evo Firecracker. Of course, we're going to talk about Firecracker in general, but the Evo card is specifically used over 10% of all decks. Because of the super far distance at which she can hit characters and towers from, you definitely need spells to counter Firecracker.
Oh, this Firecracker though. Oh boy. Yo, you good, dog? That must have hurt, man. Oh, that hurts even more, I bet. Oh, that hurts even more. Bro, his tower's gone.
Both on offense and defense, she's absolutely miserable to deal with. And aside from using her to activate your king tower, there is nothing good about seeing your opponent place down this card. The splash damage on this card absolutely obliterates your tower if she locks onto something that's nearby, and that damage just triples or quadruples if she's in her Evo form, which is just the most annoying card in the entire game.
Why did she not die? Hello? Hello, 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 hello? Earth to Clash Royale? She's still alive!
After the latest few nerfs to this card, it's a little bit less menacing, but let's be real, it can do a huge amount of damage on your troops and towers, and once the Evo locks onto you, it's pretty much over. But enough about this hated card, because it's time to talk about one of the most beloved cards in the history of the game, and it's called the Log. And this might come across as controversial because if you're like me, you absolutely hate this card, even though it's one of the most loved and popular cards in the game. And in fact, other than Tower Princess, it is the most used card in all of Clash Royale with a usage of 30%.
Oh my god, that log value. That log value! Oh my god!
At only 2 elixir, it's not only taking out all swarm units, it's also pushing back pretty much any card on its path. And like I said, that's probably why it's used in literally 30% of Clash Royale decks. I genuinely feel like this card holds up most of the Clash Royale metas through history. Whenever things are going bad and different cards are taking over the game, the good old log is always there to save the day. So although I might be a personal hater, I do have to admit that the log has some incredible history and is definitely one of the most loved cards in this game. Unlike our final and most hated card in this video, the Hog Rider. And while this card itself isn't exactly unstoppable, it's hated because it's used in some of the most OP and annoying decks in the entire game. Specifically, the very infamous Hog 2.6 deck.
Because I mistimed it, I couldn't keep my bomber alive! Hog 2.6 is broken deck! They just go skeletons, ice spear, musketeer, log, cannon, ice golem kite. Yeah!
And this deck is just spammed by people who want to win. There's no skill involved, no creativity, just spamming Hog Riders at the bridge. And that's why this is one of the most hated cards in the entire game. Comment down below if you guys agree or disagree with anything on this list. Please subscribe for more Clash Royale content, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!